And again, we know at least one person has died. The other are said to be in critical condition. Stay with Action News and 6abc.com for the latest developments on this story. New this morning, Philadelphia police are investigating after a teenager was shot in the back. Officers say the 17-year-old ran to the 1900 block of Rowan Street in the city's Tioga Nicetown section just before 1 this morning, saying that he had been shot. Police rushed him to the hospital. He was last listed in critical condition. So far this morning, no word about a motive. Your time now, 6:03. A career criminal now charged with the ambush of Officer Christopher Dorman is back in jail this morning. Bail has been set at $1 million for Dante Island. SWAT teams and FBI agents surrounded him not far from where Island reportedly confronted the Folcroft police officer yesterday morning. The 25-year-old officer was investigating drug activity when he was shot 7 times. Island also reportedly fired at a responding officer in another police vehicle but missed. Exclusive video right here shows the windows blown out and a bullet still lodged in the headrest of the passenger seat.
I'm shot in the face! I'm shot!
Just heard the shots. Pop, 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 pop. I said, oh my God, those somebody shooting.
And in this exclusive picture right here, we're getting a first look at Officer Dorman right there in the hospital. He's awake and he was smiling. And of course, many people are praying for a speedy recovery for Officer Dorman. Last night, his brothers in blue were among those who took part in a vigil outside of Collingdale Police Department. Action News' Jeff Cherico was there.
Our Father, who art in heaven.
Clergy, citizens, and police held hands in prayer outside the Collingdale Police Department. The impromptu vigil, a show of support for Folcroft officer Christopher Dorman, who is fighting for his life after taking multiple bullets in the line of duty.
He's one of the men and women who stand up bravely every day to risk their lives to be a peacemaker here among us.
Police say Dorman was attacked while responding to a call near an apartment complex. He was alert and talking as a fellow cop rushed him to nearby Fitzgerald Mercy Hospital. He was then flown to Penn Presbyterian Medical Center with wounds to his face, groin, and leg.
It's unbelievable that he's alive.
Folcroft Police Chief Robert Ruskowski says Dorman's bulletproof vest saved his life.
The doctor said that any one of those rounds on his vest could have been fatal. He was shot in both front and back.
The 25-year-old joined Folcroft's volunteer fire department when he was 16 and attained his dream of becoming a borough cop last June. In that time, the chief says Dorman has proven himself to be an exceptional officer. District Attorney Jack Whelan knows Dorman personally.
Comes from a great family. I do personally know his mother and father, and I actually worked with him. His father's a former councilman right here in Folcroft Borough. It's a shame that both the officer and this family have to go through this.
He's just a good guy. Nothing bothers him. Great sense of humor, and then something like this has to happen. So I'm just hoping for full recovery. We get him back.
Dorman underwent 2 surgeries, including one to address the gunshot wound to his face.
Out for her boyfriend, Demetrius Williams. He's facing involuntary manslaughter charges. Police say the little girl found the loaded gun in a closet and shot herself in the eye. And now we turn our attention to the latest on the so-called Brexit. The United Kingdom stunned the world by voting to leave the European Union. That decision sent stocks around the world into a free fall, and now there are calls to split up the UK itself. ABC's Lena Zock now with the latest on this fallout.
$2 trillion were lost in global markets after the British decision to leave the EU.
This is its own little economic earthquake.
Shockwaves foretold by Prime Minister David Cameron, who has now resigned.
This could be, for the first time in history, a recession brought on ourselves,
prompting President Obama to reassure Americans and the world.
I'm confident that the UK is committed to an orderly transition out of the EU.
The decision, fueled by anger about immigration and porous borders, divided the country. The New York Stock Exchange started tumbling as soon as it opened. echoing the freefall felt throughout global financial markets. The presidential candidates weighing in as well. Donald Trump in Scotland.
I think people really see a big parallel. A lot of people are talking about that, and not only the United States, but other countries. People want to take their country back.
And the Hillary Clinton campaign firing back in a new ad using Trump's own words against him.
Are you traveling with any of your foreign policy advisors?
Well, I've been in touch with them, but there's nothing to talk about.
Union's ambassador to the U.S. said it felt like a family breaking up.
Yesterday. So we're sorry they're leaving, but we respect their decision. And indeed, there will have to be some hard decisions taken about what that new relationship looks like.
This is, in essence, a divorce between the EU and the UK, and like any divorce, it has the potential to be protracted and messy. But now that the Brits have voted to leave, we hear that the EU wants them out as soon as possible. Lana Zach, ABC News, Washington.
Is on the campaign trail for fellow Democrats. His appearance in Seattle, Washington yesterday included sharp criticism for Republicans. President Obama claims presumptive presidential nominee Donald Trump is promoting policies that divide Americans rather than unite them.
And we don't have time for charlatans, and we don't have time for hatred, and we don't have time for bigotry, and we don't have time for flim-flam, and we don't have the luxury of just popping off and saying whatever comes to the top of our heads.
President Obama also criticized Republicans in Congress for blocking action on gun control, as well as refusing to confirm his latest nominee for the U.S. Supreme Court. A Republican delegate is suing to avoid voting for Donald Trump. Chris Cornell of Virginia must vote for Trump at next month's Republican National Convention in Cleveland, and that's because Trump won Virginia's primary and the state's GOP delegates. Cornell is suing Virginia election officials. He says that Trump is unfit to be president, and a vote for him violates his freedom of speech. 6:10 your time. There's still much more to come on Action News for this Saturday morning. Caught on camera, a Septa driver jumps into action to stop the thief who snatched a woman's purse. 6:13, a group of college students have been credited with one of the biggest archaeological finds in central Illinois. The team from Indiana University uncovered artifacts from a lost civilization. That's pretty cool. It's believed the site dates back to the mid-1100s. The budding archaeologists have 97 bags of artifacts to sort through once they return to campus. Wow, that's pretty impressive. So glad you waked up. Police released surveillance video of the incident that happened Monday morning. It began with a man approaching a woman at 29th and Girard and then snatching a woman's purse. But when the man tried to run away, Septa bus driver Charles Arterbury jumped into action and ran after that man for about a block and managed to get the purse back. Action News caught up with the heroic driver.
I'm just happy everything turned out all right. I'm safe. She got a pocketbook back. Everybody went to work that was on a bus, so it was great.
All right, thank you, sir. 2 other Septa passengers also jumped in to help. Police showed up and were able to arrest that suspect. Arterbury has been with Septa for 28 years. He said the victim was very thankful for his help. Ticketmaster, in the last 17 years, you might want to check your account because you could be in for a free ticket. The vouchers are part of a class action lawsuit over ticket fees and other charges. Billboard magazine reports that about 50 million people will get those vouchers. They will expire in 4 years. Many ebook readers are also in for a refund. This is all part of a $400 million antitrust lawsuit against the nation's largest publishing companies. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and also Apple are among the companies accused of participating in an alleged price-fixing scheme. If you bought an ebook from those companies between April of 2010 and May of 2012, you're likely eligible for a refund. You'll either see a credit in your ebook store account or you will receive a check in the mail. have been life-threatening. And we've alerted you to updates as two of the victims were told have serious injuries. Chopper 6 was over the unit block of Winder Avenue last night as police searched the scene there. At this time, still no arrest or word on a possible motive for that shooting. The number of dead from flooding in West Virginia is climbing, and so far at least 23 people have died. About 9 inches of rain has damaged or destroyed more than 100 homes. 200 National Guardsmen are working in 8 counties, helping local crews with swift water rescues. Hundreds of shoppers had to be lowered to safety with ropes when floods washed away the road leading into an area mall.
You don't realize how dangerous that water is. It's just wicked going, downstream so fast and just pulling. We saw a refrigerator, trees and poles.
Local leaders are hopeful that a dry weekend will help this situation, but more downpours are forecasted for Monday. Says it has not turned up any credible evidence that the gunman in the Orlando massacre was gay or pursuing fire inside the Pulse nightclub earlier this month in Orlando, Florida. Some media outlets quoted men as saying Mateen had reached out to them on gay dating apps. The FBI now says after 500 interviews, that does not appear to be the case. Officials have said the gunman was radicalized at some point before that attack, but they believe he was acting